So hey, we're going to get started on the wiring today. And first thing I'm going to do is hook up the reverse light. So this is the pigtail that Silver Sport gives you. Connects right up here to these two prongs. Here is your factory connector. I've tested this already. We got a dark green and a dark blue. The dark blue carries the hot. The switch inside of the TKX is non-directional according to the instructions, and it's normally open. So all that's going to do once we put it in reverse is it's going to complete that circuit and send the 12 volts from this blue to our reverse lights, back around. So I'm going to just try and figure out the best way I want to set this up, keeping in mind that the speed sensor wire, which is here on the factory terminal, on the factory harness, that's going to has to connect over here. So I got to figure out how I want to route my cables. If you see, this here was one of the stock wire loom hangers. So we reused that as a starting point. I'm not going to take that out. I'm happy with that. We can make this connection here, and then I'm just going to figure out how I want to feed this over. I might break this harness apart completely so I can run two separate lines. Haven't quite figured that out yet. And for reference, on this side here is our speed sensor connector up there, which has a pigtail to it. It's just not connected right now. This harness here is for a neutral lockout if you want to use it. I don't plan on using it. The C4 has the clutch safety. I think that's good enough. Alright, so I'm going to get started on this. I have some weather pack connectors. I don't think they're going to fit this GM connector, so I'm probably just going to pull this back a bit and cut this. That way I can retain this stock clip if I ever want to reuse it. I'll just keep it with the transmission. Alright, so I have decided I'm going to take this apart, and so that I can rewire it the way I just make it a little cleaner. Let's have some heat wrap tape on here. I'll figure out what I want to do with that. But if I'm able to, I can bring this pigtail here and bring it into the loom and connect these two nice up here. I'd rather do that. Again, just make that a little cleaner. So I'm going to get this loom out of the harness here, out of the whatever you call this stuff. What do you guys call this stuff? A wire protector, whatever it is. And it kind of gives us a better look at what we have here anyways. Alright, so I've decided, let's see, so we got our speed sensor wire here. I am going to cut these connectors off and just use my own. I'm just going to make sure I leave enough that if to reuse them if I need to. You got your single wire here, which is for the overdrive unit, which we definitely don't need that anymore. I'm going to cut that back. I'm just going to cap that. You have my speed sensor wire with and there's plenty here, so I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to cut my batteries disconnected, by the way. I'm going to cut my so I'm going to cut all three of these off and just leave these with the Doug Nash, which is actually now boxed up in the Silver Sport box. So yeah, making a plan. Still working on mock-up. Here we got the speed sensor pigtail. So I'm going to plug that back in over here. I had this plugged in for a lot of the install, thinking that it was going to be impossible to get to once it was up here, and that wasn't the case, and it ended up just being in the way. So it's actually very easy to get to. and you can see how much you have. So that's going to go to here. I think my plan for this is to go over the top. This, as you saw, this pigtail connector on the side of the TKX is pointing up, so it's already going in that direction. And I can, I think I'll feed this over one way or another and make my connections there. So that one's going to go over the top, and these two I'm going to connect right here with some new wire loom and get that looking all nice and pretty. I was gonna do weather pack connectors, but then it dawned on me that everything disconnects from the transmission, so that'd just be 2 connectors, so we don't need that, which is good. So, all right, that's where we're at. I'll be back. All right, looking at the Haynes manual on your speed control, it looks like the brown with the white wire on the speed sensor. That's your signal wire, and then you got this purple wire, which I guess is coincidentally why this one here is purple and yellow. The Silver Sport instructions say that the yellow is the signal wire. So we're gonna connect the yellow to the brown and white with white stripe, and we're going to put the purples together for the speed sensor. So I'm sure you all know how to crimp some wires. So, yeah. All the new finagle tools I have, I still use the first set of wire crimps and wire strippers that my old man gave me when I was in high school. It's on like its 4th set of electrical tape grips, but it always works. I got these new finagled strippers and stuff that work when they want to. Little information on that. So these are my first series of YouTube videos, so I decided to create the channel Chula's Garage. That's a take on our last name. My last name is Vincula, and growing up, my old man, well, actually his dad, my grandfather, was Chula. He was Little Chula, and that's kind of just passed on. So when I had to come up with a name for a channel to put these videos, I said, sure, why not? Let's carry that name on. So I don't think anybody was really curious, but that's where the name came from. So I'm going to keep wiring this up, and then I'll get right back to you. Okay, so here's what I came up with for the speed sensor wire. I put it in a new loom. It comes over the top of the transmission back there. Plenty of slack. Okay, and then it comes around and connects right here. Again, left some slack. This is the neutral safety switch. I just taped off the end. I'm not ready to cut that end off yet, but I just taped it off and zip tied it right there so it wasn't flopping around, and attached it right there, which will probably be in the way when I do the fill on the transmission fluid, but that's all right. So I'm happy with that. I think it looks pretty clean. So I'm going to finish up the reverse, the backup light now. Alright, here's what I came up with for the reverse light, the backup light. I reused the wire loom that was there, but just shortened everything. Used the stock loom mount, and just made it look all pretty. So I'm going to lower the car and test that light and see if it works. Get. Oh! Alright, so that's pretty cool. Reverse lights work. I think that's pretty much it underneath the car. For the transmission part anyways. I still have to adjust my parking brake, but I'll get to that afterwards. So I think now I'm going to actually take it off and roll it back off the lift so I can easily get in and out and work on the interior. We've got to trim the tunnel a little bit and work on finding the wiring for the Dakota systems, speed, sensor, doohickey. What else? Yeah, start putting the interior back together and obviously take it for another drive. Alright, so with that wiring success, I think I'm going to move on to trying to hook up the Dakota systems speedometer calibration doohickey. I still have to trim that tunnel up, but I'm going to be completely honest, I just don't feel like dealing with the dust right now. So we're going to stick with wiring. I'd been going back and forth with Silver Sport transmissions on the wiring for this because the instructions say to go to the ECM, and I've read online that you go behind the dash. So they're still telling me to go to the ECM. They say that the Dakota Systems digital box there, doohickey box, is different than the one that originally came with the kit, which is maybe where they think the discrepancy is. But they're asking me to still go to the ECM, so I'm going to pull that out from underneath the from the passenger side. Car's off the lift, and it's actually nice to have it on the ground, so a little easy to work with anyways. But yeah, so car's on the ground, and we're going to get to pulling that ECM out, and we're looking for a particular connector, particular wire. We'll get into that in a second. Seven millimeters to take this panel off. When you're pulling this off, just remember you got your dome light here to disconnect. Little tidbit. There we go. All right. Sorry for the lights. Okay, get that panel off. I've never actually taken my ECM out, but I know it's under here somewhere. Alright, ECM's right here. You guys probably already knew that. Trying to decipher the instructions from Silver Sport. They have different instructions for 84 to 86 cars, and and then 87 to 88 cars. On the 87 to 88 cars, they talk about a 16-pin connector, a 16-wire connector with a clear cap. And to cut the, let's see, you're looking for the yellow wire coming from terminal K. So looking at this is terminal K, and it's got the brown with the white stripe, which matches what was at the transmission, and it's got yellow on the other side. On the 84 to 86 cars, it says I'm looking for an 8-pin terminal connector that has a yellow and brown wire, which I don't have. Well, nope, because those aren't the same pin. Now my car is a late 86, I know that because it's got the aluminum heads. So I'm thinking this, I might be having to follow the 87 to 88 instructions. It also suggests pulling the ECM down, which if this is where I'm cutting, I'm not sure where I need to do that, but I am going to pull the ECM down just to take a look there as well while we try and figure this out. Be right back. So remember when I talked about not really knowing the service history in this car? I just pulled down my ECM and got a little good news. It's a remanufactured original equipment, so other than the fact that one of the screws was missing holding it in, somebody's already been in here, and I have a newer than 38-year-old ECM. Pretty happy about that. Still don't know where I'm hooking this thing up to, but just pretty happy about that. Thought I'd share. All right, it's the next day. I wanted to kind of talk to Silver Sport real quick, since they had instructed me to look for a different connector. They did agree that this connector matches the 87-88 instructions. So I have this yellow wire here coming out of pin K, and that's what they're instructing me to cut into and put the Dakota Digital Signal Interface in line there. So I'm gonna get some wire together, start figuring out how I want to do this. Also, you need to do a switched ignition and a ground, so I'm going to look for a good source for those. I do see I have a pretty good ground right here. I don't know, I might try to plug into that and then see if I can find a good clean switch power source. Alright, so I'm grabbing my 12-volt switch from the fuse panel. Going to use one of these ATA circuits. I'm going off the AC circuit, because actually right now my AC is deleted out of the car, but this isn't going to draw a lot, so that's what I'm grabbing. I'd rather do this than cut into something if I don't need to. So that's what I'm working on right now. And yeah, still a mess under here, but we're getting there. Alright, the ATA circuit's installed. I always leave extra, like a service loop, kind of like when you're doing home wiring, just so I can pull that out. But so that's all set there. I got the ECM put away, this wired out here, and now I just gotta find my ground and then cut into that yellow wire. Okay, quick update. We have cut the yellow wire at pin K. This one here that's marked with the black tape, this is the wire coming from pin K according to the instructions. That goes to out 3, and then the other side goes to input. So those are those two wires there. I grab my ground and my switched power, and we're ready to test to see if this thing turns on. I won't be able to actually test if it works until I can drive the car again, which is going to be a little bit, but at least test if it turns on. Okay, absent of knowing what else it's supposed to do right now, I have a red light which tells me it's turned on, so that's going to be that for now until we can drive it. Alright, after a little tidying up, that's our final product. Put a little wire loom on it in there, make it look nice. After we program it, I'm probably just going to attach it to the inside of the plastic panel that goes under the dash, just with some double-sided tape, so if I ever need to get to it, I just drop that panel and it's right there and I can make adjustments. Alright, I got the car rigged up temporarily so we can put some miles on it and test this Dakota Digital system. Put the seats in, some of the center console, so I can have all my buttons and everything, and just sitting there waiting for my co-pilot, and we're going to take this for a little drive and see how it does. Alright, co-pilot here has figured out the programming. We had the wires backwards. You're looking for the high-low, right? Yeah, H-L is the mode that you want. And then we got a speedometer. When we get back to the shop, we'll go over it a little bit more. Oh, and it's still looking for the overdrive. Or it thinks it's in overdrive, but interesting. Alright, so we just got back from adjusting and setting up the Dakota Digital Signal Interface unit, the SIU. Couple of things we learned with that. So one, without it, my car was reading 100 miles an hour before we even got out of the driveway, basically, which Dom figured out was the high-low, right? Yeah. So there's different option modes. You're going to want to make sure you use the Dakota's instructions, and you're going to set it to H-L, and that gets you in the right setting And then after that, we were actually pretty close. Followed the adjust while driving calibration sequence after setting in that H.-L, and we were only a little bit off. Used the phone GPS and got that dialed in pretty quick. With the wiring, one thing, we actually had the wires reversed. We had the signal going into the out, and it made sense. It makes sense now that we're thinking about it, and we'd actually talked about it, but I think I got confused here. Again, my 86 used the 87 to 88 instructions from Silver Sports documentation, because I have a late 86. I think they might have made those changes. So I'll put up the video again, or an image to show you, but there's a the connector you're looking for. It's got a clear cap. You're looking for pin K. Now when you look at that clear connector, you'll see the brown with the white wire coming up to pin K. So that's your input side. And I should have thought of that, because at the transmission, that's the color that the connector is. So that's your input side. So when you cut your yellow wire, you're going to cut it on the other side, the yellow on the other side of pin K. You want to take that side and make that your input, and take the other side and put that to out 3, and that'll get your wiring all set. So once we figure that out, it went pretty smooth. The car was stalling on me when we were coming to a stop before that, and I'm just hoping that's because the signals were reversed and the old school, EEPROM ECU didn't know what to do with it, because it seems to be running fine now. So got it shifted through all 5 gears. Everything felt pretty good. Got up to about 50 miles an hour for a little bit. That's the fastest I've gone. I didn't really feel anything, did you? No, I mean, it seems to be driving all right. I got to remember that there's lots of creaks and rattles in this car to begin with, and not to think that they all coming from the transmission. So yeah, all right. So speed sensor's all set up. We're gonna tuck that away back underneath the dash and clean that up and go from there. All right, looking at the ignition lockout, the position that it sits in normally works just fine. And if we look under here, there is a lot of room for activity. So I think what I'm going to do is we're just going to work to pull this through. Yeah. All right, so we can just, that comes right out of there. And if you notice, see this is in the in position, which allows the key to come out. If we pull this out, it locks the key. So I just need to make sure that it stays in this position. I'm gonna see. I think I might have some old safety wire around. I could loop through here, find something to loop through here, and then just come down and loop it here, just to lock that in place to make sure that doesn't ever come free. And then I'm gonna kind of find it a new home under the dash there. So that's what we're working on right now. All right, so here's my idea. I found a piece of wire. It's not actually safety wire, but I think it'll do. I'm going to hook it onto there like that. I'm gonna try and even that out a little bit more. Alright, so I'll put this on here. Close enough. Alright, so I'm going to take my safety wire pliers, put those on, and we're going to try and see if we can twist this wire. This isn't actually safety wire, but it should still work. The idea is to make, I ended up just hooking it on one side too, and that's actually going to work just fine. Like I said, we're trying to stop this from being able to come out. Alright, so now I got this braid here. I'm going to cut this down a bit. I'm going to take this end through here. And then we're going to safety wire this side. Or spin this side, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Alright. Hopefully that was in the camera, but now this is my idea. So now this rod can't slide out because it's stuck to this, and I shouldn't have any issues with the ignition lockout. So we'll trim that down and bend it back. So now we just have to find a place to put it. So, be right back. Alright. From what I can tell, just kind of putting this up underneath this side of the dash is going to be the easiest. It kind of just wants to sit there, and it doesn't seem like it's going to interfere with anything, so I'm going to just work to get this just behind the connector like that, and yeah, it just kind of sits up there and doesn't really seem to be bothering anything. So I think that's where that's gonna live. Alright, that's all tucked away. Looks alright. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but cord comes around here and goes right up, or the cable I should say. And again, it didn't seem to be interfering with anything, so alright, that's done. Alright, so we're back working on the C4. Dom's working on trying to find a spot to put the Dakota Digital system up underneath the dash, and I'm starting to take a look at forming and installing the cover panel that they give you for the transmission tunnel here. I know I talked before about doing some trimming, but doing some more driving and looking at it a little closer. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is and get to fit in that panel. So that's what we're working on right now. Alright, so here's our panel. I'm sure I've showed that to you before already. And it is notched around this bolt, kind of give you an idea where it's supposed to line up. It would also be notched around the bracket for the ignition lockout. We did take that off though, but you can see how it's notched for that as well. So I'm trying to figure out where to start bending this. It's not straight across. Trying to work out where to start rolling this, because obviously once you're in it, you're in it. Alright, just as a reference, this is the jig that I've come up with so far to help me try and bend this piece of metal. I won't lie, I've never done this before and it's not going as smooth as I would like, but this seems to be giving me some results finally. Getting there. Right. I'm gonna be honest, it's the first light at the end of the tunnel I've had in a few minutes with this project. We do have a big opening underneath at the bottom here. Just gonna keep working. Alright, we got updates. So we're working on, you got this indent down the bottom here. I'm trying to figure out the best way to pull that in. I've made a bend on this side to tuck this corner in. This is actually all pretty close. I have a big thing of seam seal here that's kind of gobbed up, that's making this a little tough for me. Like I said, right now we're just trying to push. Here's the center mark of this indent, and I'm just trying to work that in. We bring it over to the vise, we kind of tap on it a bit, bring it back, see how it fits, and rinse and repeat. It's definitely a tedious process, but I'm feeling better than I did when I started, that's for sure. So I'm just gonna keep at it. Alright, I got my panel where about I want it. Bottom I did have to kind of beat with a hammer a little bit, so it's not going to be the prettiest, but it's going to be covered up. So I'm not too worried about it. So get my first coat of paint on there. And I went and got some seam sealer today. And I have some rivets, some new rivets with some better rivets with washers coming. Those should be here today as well, so I can start getting this thing installed. Alright, well I figured while the paint's drying, we got a silly little thing to do here, but I'd like to put my my SST, my SST Tremec 5-speed logo on my panel here. I'm trying to get this one off, you know, surgically with my pocket knife that I carry with me every day, without damaging it. There we go. Because obviously 4 + 3, that means something, right? So we got our SST Tremec 5-speed. See how this is going to look. If you can see that or not. Like I said, I'm just kind of messing around here while I wait for paint to dry, literally. So there's where it's gonna. It's pretty good. Got some adhesive left on there, but we're just gonna say that that's gonna help it adhere. Let's just hope we get it on here straight. Huh? There we go. SST Tremec 5-speed. It's been a couple of days. Work's been getting in the way, but I'm back at the transmission tunnel. You're gonna have to excuse the fan. We're having a heat wave here in Massachusetts, and it's hot. So the fan's staying on. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad. Anyways, here's my painted panel. I'm getting ready to start drilling some holes for the rivets. Couple of things I'm noticing is this top hole here. That's not going to hit anything, so I'll be making a new hole there. I'm not sure how these are going to do. They're all along the factory seam seal, so have to check that out. I pounded in that indent in the bottom the best I could and formed it over the side here. But I'm going to start working these holes, getting that ready to go. I bought some seam sealer, so we'll hopefully get this in today, get the shifter boots on, and then I can start putting the interior back together. I got a little sidetracked as well, doing a little bit of an audio upgrade while I'm in here. Decided to put some modern conveniences in the car, so got a little sidetracked with that as well. All right, let's get at it. All right, for me, I'm going to start with this top rivet hole here. It's near this wire loom nut. The panel is notched to fit around that. So I'm going to start with this one. And quickly realizing I need to get my vacuum, which I'm going to do. And I'm actually going to rivet that in while I drill to hold the panel, so I know it's not moving while I'm drilling out the rest of these. I'll just sacrifice a rivet. So let me go grab my vacuum, try and control this mess, and I'll be right back. Alright, I got that first one riveted in just for this exact purpose, just to kind of hold this in place where I want it. Now I'm going to start going around and making some holes, hoping I don't hit anything I'm not supposed to. So I'm going to go out and drill all these out and I'll be back. Alright, I've been going around drilling holes, just sticking rivets in there, not actually cinching them down, just so I know that nothing, it doesn't move when I'm drilling another hole and then something's not going to line up. Just taking my time. I'm going to start drilling these seams. I kind of want to get under the car and just see what it looks like on the other side of that. And I'm probably going to add a few, maybe one here, I don't know. I know I got to add one up in this corner. So just taking my time, slowly working it around. I'm on my own today, so these are 1/8 inch rivets that require backing washers. I'm working by myself today, so I'm not sure how I'm going to manage that, but figure it out. Alright, we got updates. So kind of like I thought, the holes you have to drill along the seam, the rivets I have anyways, which are the longest I could find, these ones here, they're 1/8 inch, they're just not long enough. So a number 6 bolt or screw fits in there nice. So at least along that edge, I was just dry fitting these in. At least along that edge, I'm going to use a nut and bolt lock washer or something, lock nut. I got a bunch of, I made a Home Depot run and got a bunch of stuff. So it's going to be a combination of screws and rivets for me. My son's on his way over to help me get this finished up. So as soon as he gets here, we'll be able to apply the sealer and get to securing this, and then we'll work on the top boot. Alright, I outlined my panel with a magic marker, just to give myself an idea where to apply my seam sealer. I got my seam sealer here that I bought from the auto store. Directions say to apply a generous amount, I think is what it says. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a good bead all the way around. It's going to be a little tight up top here. We're going to set it in, and then I'm going to end up coming around and I'm going to do the edge as well afterwards. So yeah, I feel like this is going to get messy, but I'm going to give it a shot, see if we can get this moving. And there it goes, already messy. All right, I'll be back. All right, I forgot to film with just the seam sealer on there, but you can trust me that it's in there. And now we're just going around. I'm starting to lock it down. All right, this is not pretty, but this is what I got working so far. It's going to be covered up anyways. Ended up using more bolts than rivets, and I just got that seam sealer, a bead on the inside, and all worked around the outside. Now I'm starting to try and fit this trim ring, because at least for me, I have nothing holding down this area right here, so I need that trim ring to go across and snug that down. So that's what I'm trying to get to now. Okay, this is what we got. Shifter boots in. I added a rivet on that side. It was bowed up a little bit just to seal that up. None of it's the cleanest. I think if the sealer wasn't tan, it wouldn't look as bad, but I'm gonna let that cure overnight and come back to it tomorrow and see where I need to clean up, maybe paint a little bit, It's all going to be covered anyways, but there we go. It's in. Hey, it's the next morning. I just applied a second coat of the seam sealer on the outside. Again, still not the prettiest, but I just wanted to kind of fill that in a little bit and build it up a little bit. And I'll probably end up painting that black before I close it all up, just more for aesthetics. You won't see it, but anyways, overall I think it's doing okay. I think I talked about it yesterday, but these two holes that were pre-drilled in the panel weren't lining up perfectly, and I don't know if it's from when I was bending it and it was causing this piece to want to buckle, which is why I ended up putting this rivet in the middle here. But other than that, in hindsight, maybe I should have oblonged that hole or re-drilled that hole or done something, I don't know. But it's in there now, so she ain't coming out. Okay, was it necessary? No. But a little paint goes a long way. I don't know. I think it just cleans it up a bit. Painted the seam sealer black. Makes me feel better. I'm happy. We can move on. So now I can start putting the center console back together, putting the heat shield back on, putting the shifter in, and start getting this interior together. We're getting there. Alright, we got the shifter rod in the shifter boot. I'm going to start putting the insulation back in and go from there. Okay, we're finally starting to get the interior back together. Got all my heat shield back in. I'm starting to think, and you guys probably already knew this, but I'm new to C4s. I don't think this stuff was factory. Pretty sure somebody just put it in here. I've actually found it in the back of the car as well with Tyvek tape. So, but better than nothing. So got that all fitted back in there. Gonna start putting the console back together. Oh, it's starting to look like a car again. All right, just a little bit, but it's getting there. Slowly but surely, getting the right side back together. We're getting there. Alright, left side's in. I have come to realization that if I'm going to make this car really nice, I'm going to need some interior pieces. But for now, she's going back together. Starting to look like a car again. Okay, we're very close. Some final touches. We're getting there though. I'm getting pretty excited. Don't mind back here. Still doing some audio upgrades while I'm in here. But this part's looking good. And here we go. She's all put back together and finished. It's been a process. Alright, so that's going to do it for the Silver Sport TKX 5 swap into my 86 Corvette. Definitely has been a process, and overall I'm satisfied. Definitely satisfied with the product. You know, wasn't without its hiccups, as you saw in the first few 3 parts and in this video. They sell it to you a little bit more DIY than maybe it is. I mean, it definitely is. Just go into it knowing that you're gonna have some you're gonna have to figure some stuff out along the way, and that's okay. Kit can only be so plug and play when you get into something this size, which I get that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the videos, and I was just looking back. I can't believe this whole thing has taken me about a month. And that's because I really only have 1 or 2 days a week, and that's not even full days, that I can work on this stuff. So I think if you have more time and you know, can devote, you know, a week or so, you know, maybe you can get it done. Some of that was also me going back and forth with Silver Sport when I had some questions and things like that. As far as they go, you know, their communication has been excellent. Their customer service has been great. You know, we did have that back and forth, just a discussion about the exhaust hanger and, you know, a couple other little things. And they do say that they have it on their calendar to get a C4 in and do a full TKX swap. And Shane had mentioned to me that any parts that get re-engineered, they'll make sure that they, if they do, they'll make sure they get sent my way. So I appreciate that. The driving that I've done in the car, I haven't experienced any issues yet. But what I am going to do is I want to get a good couple hundred miles at least on it, and I'm going to post a review video and let you guys all know how it's going, how it drives. The little bit of driving that I've done so far, I think my fifth speed RPMs are going to be a little bit higher than they were when I was into the fourth manual speed on the Doug Nash plus the overdrive. I think I'm going to be running a little bit higher RPM range. We'll see how it goes. I'm talking maybe 100 RPM, 200. We'll see how it is. That's just from my, you know, I've probably only done about 40 miles or so on the car so far. So I have a lot more driving to do to figure out the system. I will say the shift is night and day over the Doug Nash. I know, and I've been, you know, having some communication online with people that the Doug Nash is a special transmission. It's got its place. I can appreciate the engineering that went into it, but we all know it's a sloppy throw shifter, and this here just makes the car feel better. And we all know an 86 C4, 230 horsepower. I have no mods done to it. She ain't fast. I don't need her to be. It's for the driving experience, right? And I think the TKX definitely improves that driving experience. And that was my goal. That and wrenching with my kid and teaching him a few things. So I'm going to end the video here and the series. Again, thank you for everybody that's watched this far. This whole YouTube thing has been kind of fun. And I don't know if you've looked around the shop over the last 4 videos, but I have a lot of motorcycles that I work on. And you know, I do a lot of maintenance work, and so I'm probably gonna be posting some more stuff because I've enjoyed doing this, and you know, maybe you guys out there will enjoy to see some more content. So that's gonna do it for now. Thank you again, everybody that watched the series through. I hope it was you know, enjoyable, informational. You know, if you decided to do the swap, hopefully maybe I can answer a few questions for you through this video. By all means, feel free to reach out to me if you're working on something similar. I'm no expert, but maybe I saw it or experienced it myself while doing this swap, even if it wasn't on video. If I have an answer or a suggestion or whatever, I'll be more than happy to share it. So, all right, that's going to do it. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.